Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And yes, you're watching these last few days as we get ready to gear up for our new start time. The new start time will be noon Central, Monday through Friday, same place. You can log in through YouTube, through Facebook, through LinkedIn. You know what? We're going to give you a chance to wake up and really dial back in. Drive Safe Dave also will be taking off until that date. That date, September the 5th. We come back brand new, live, ready to go, ready to give you information. All right, it's hot here in Texas. We all know that. It's been hot across this country. We're going to talk a little bit, though. When heat happens, no matter where you are, it makes you do some crazy things. I'm not sure if this is blaming on heat. I'm just going to go out there and say this. But up in New York, we had some thieves break in a jewelry store in the Bronx, and steal over, I don't know if you saw that, over $2 million of jewelry. And when you look at it, they say it was very well planned. And again, producer, we don't have no video, nothing for me?
No, I don't have that.
All right, well, you know what? Well, this is why we're starting September 5th, brand new. But no, it's in here. So the thieves break in, they ring the buzzer. They take, break, stash $2 million in less than a couple of minutes, like a minute or less. They call it a very well staged thing in which the thieves kind of run out into the street. And I'm thinking, it doesn't look staged. As a matter of fact, the only thing that looked staged to me is that, was there really $2 million of jewelry in that Bronx jewelry store? It makes you wonder on that. All right. Hey, other news. We have transportation guys continuing to post their wins, their gains, their losses. We had XPO just had a phenomenal second quarter once again. Right before they make a big change, you have Brandon Jacobs releasing the company to Herrick, a longtime executive with the company. And as we look at these two folks right here, there's two ways to get your job. As a CEO, you can be the CEO like Jacobs is, or you can kind of look like him. And I look at the thing here, it's like, is there really a difference? Is it the same guy? I wonder, is this going to be a undercover boss? Is this really what this is? Is it still Jacobs to the right there? That opposed to be Herrick. Is Jacobs coming back as undercover boss in an own series? It makes me wonder there. Huge company, Jacobs, Herrick, congratulations to Herrick. Well job. Well positioned. A great position for you. But again, I look at those like those two are identical. I mean, there's no doubt about that. All right, hey, we're going to jump in, and we've been speaking a little bit about the trucks, about transportation. Yeah, this is a transportation news source. It's BCB Live. Be safe, communicate if you can. Be on time. We talk about safety primarily on here. That's one of our big focal points on here. But as we go back, and I wanted to show you this as we continue to look at the used truck pricing. We continue to see the trucks not coming out of the market. I just wanted to show you something here. We go back, and these are... This red one here at $122,000, those are today's pricing on 3-year-old trucks, 4-year-old trucks at $103,000, and 5-year-old trucks coming in at $80,000. Now, what I wanted you to really look at, though, is look at the pricing on these trucks. And we talk about the independent contractors that are going to struggle this year, that are going to struggle as they go through the pricing model that we've been seeing out there, the pricing model that was created last year in that crazy time. We saw the peak of the trucks come way up there, and this is the 3-year trucks, all I'm going to talk about right now, at about $133,000, $135,000, $136,000. Today, that same truck's value, about $122,000. Pricing on that continues to come down on that used truck. But look at what I've been talking about, though. When we look at what the independent contractor paid for years ago, that same truck valued it between $70,000 and maybe $80,000 for that 3-year-old truck. They came in last year, and you just saw that market just go up and up and up and up. And if you bought a truck in March of this year that was a couple years old, maybe 3 years old, you paid $135,000, $136,000. And keep in mind, heck, most of the time that truck was a $67,000 truck. You paid more than double for that value of that truck. And those are the folks, again, that we try to share this data with. We try to look at and try to point to who's going to struggle in this second half of the year. Well, this person right here, they're going to struggle. This is the independent contractor that has a great chance of losing their truck. And what we see, and one way that you can avoid that if you're an independent contractor out there, is really go back and look at that larger trucking company where you can get fuel discounts. You can get some insurance savings on that, and you can participate in some contracted rates. That spot market rate, you're going to continue to compete. And even if you're competing with your fellow independent contractor, the independent contractor that's been in business for years, okay, been in business 3, 4, 5 years or whatever, you're competing with a $70,000, $80,000 truck versus the same truck you bought for about $135,000. It's going to be hard for you to compete with them. They've been around. They probably have better insurance than you. They may have a customer or a broker that they get a lot of freight from. They're able to kind of tie in service to that. And you have a huge payment that they don't have. You paid almost twice the payment that other independent contractor paid for that same piece of equipment. All right, as we start this week, we also look at the fuel. It's given everybody a chance right here to breathe a little bit. We're not even close to where we need to be at, but still, we've came down again, 520. We've now seen it for almost 2 weeks now come down every single day. 3 weeks, and we've seen DOE pricing over double-digit drops every week. 520 today. We find out what the DOE pricing is tomorrow. Again, though, if we go back and look at what pricing's been over the past 5 years, we take COVID out, but you're at $3, $3.10, you're still $2.20 a gallon higher on that diesel. So, making things tough for you today out there on that market. We're going to look at the pricing. The pricing continues to stay pretty fair is what I'm going to say. Matter of fact, better than normal other than last year. And again, unfortunately, you have that fuel pricing that I showed you, right? Fuel's high. Again, part of the reason why some independent contractors are going to larger companies is they're able to participate in that fuel discount. They don't feel that pinch like you're feeling it today. $1.98 a gallon $1.98 a mile is the spot market pricing today. It's not what it was last year, okay? But again, if we look at it historically, it's higher than most, right? It's higher than any other period, other than March of 2020, right before COVID hit us. Rates continue to stay strong on that in that market. So pay attention to that. We're going to leave the contract alone. That hasn't changed at all. As we look at the freight, we're going to look at the volume first. All right, so we see volume coming in right at 12,300. And we're okay in that range, right? 12,003, 12,005. Boy, would love for it not to dip under 12,000 right now. Once again, let's just go back and look at it so we can hear it. It is so much lower than it's been over the last 12 months. So for you that started that business last year, you paid way big time price for that used truck. We've talked about that many times. I showed you that today. You paid $138,000 for that same truck. Well, back in these days, a year ago, 6 months ago, all the way up to January, maybe even mid-February, that price really didn't affect you because you had so much freight out there. Unfortunately, here we go. This is probably closer to the new norm that we're going to see. Now, I'm going to say is when you look at this, and it's right here in the green. I'll see if I can highlight it here with the white. Your volume is significantly higher than it's been in years past. It's just not last year. independent contractor. I'm going to tell you, man, and you know, some struggles with this are, you know, think about AB5. And what AB5 is going to do, it's already making a difference out there in the New Jersey area. Meaning that companies that I've been telling you should go lease onto, well, some of them just can't bring you on. If you're in California right now and you're a trucking company out of California, or if you're a company that has an independent contractor based out of California, you may tend to say, you know what, I can't bring you on. Too much baggage is coming with you with that new AB5 law. It doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, you know what, if in fact the larger companies or those that I'm telling you to lease onto can't bring you on, you're facing those high fuel pricing on your own. You've got to go out there and negotiate rates that I'm telling you will not be in your favor for a period. Okay, so it's almost like someone is setting you up to fail. That's just what I feel like, because I don't know how you're going to make it in this business. If you went out last year on your own, you said, this is the time I'm going to go into business, honey, we're doing it. Man alive, you're going to be lucky to make it through this year. The rejection rate, and the reason why you're going to be lucky is this right here. 6.28. Now 6.28 reflects the amount of freight that's being rejected. 6.28. And if you look at going back to February, and the reason why I said around mid-February, you were still living good. You didn't care about that high price you paid on the truck because it wasn't an issue. It was a non-issue until freight started getting rejected less, until freight volumes went down. If you remember, we had high volumes last year, or this past February and January. You know, we go back to January and February this year. Our volume was so high, and 22% of that volume was getting rejected, kept your pricing up. Today, much less freight out there, much less compared to last year, and only 6% of that is getting rejected. But and the reason why it's getting rejected is that these larger trucking companies, these companies that order trucks, well, they let most of their equipment go last year. They kind of right-sized last year. And as drivers are starting to come out of school and go into these larger companies, well, hey, guess what? These larger companies have already gotten rid of the equipment they didn't want. Now they're going to start to add on a few pieces of equipment, running more and more freight, rejecting a lot less, because they can do that, because they don't have they have more trucks coming in there on order. They can make a living because of where those rates are on the contracted side. They are staying high enough for you that have contracts to stay in business, to make a living, and to possibly continue another great year. We had a good year last year on that asset side. We expect kind of the same thing this year. All right, let's go back, and when I talked about rejections, look at this period right here. That was that record high rejection rate. When we had more freight than we've ever seen before by a long stretch, higher rejections than we ever had than ever in the history, and then we had higher spot market rates. It made sense that you could afford anything because the rates were crazy, but they are normalized, right, at 6%. The only time you see rejections that were even remotely close, that's back in 2018, back when the big fear of the electronic logs came in. Nobody really knew what to expect during that period. Rejected a lot of freight. A lot of freight was on that spot market. We saw some very high pricing in 2018 until about July, August. And then we went in for a good 18, 19 months of tough times in trucking. Again, one of the big differences between 2018, 2019, and today, allocation. I'm just going to say it. The trucking companies themselves, they're only allocated a certain amount of equipment. And when I say equipment, I'm talking trucks. They can't still get in all the trailers they want. Okay, so now you have some companies that finally are getting trucks in, but they're not getting what they ordered. Back in 2018, we had the high rejection. We had that high spot market rate. But also, we had trucking companies that were that looked at the market and said, you know what? I'm going to grow right now. And they did. And all of a sudden, they blew their own market out of the water because they had so much supply and not enough demand. We infiltrated this industry with trucks. Everybody grew 10%, and they thought they were smarter than the next trucking company. And all they did was mess up that balance. Today, last year, and even all the way today, in all of 2022, the trucking companies can't do that. You know, those that want to grow, hey, guess what? They're going to have to buy another company. That's it. That's the only way you're going to grow right now, because the assets just aren't there. The trailers just aren't there. The shippers, they can't go out there and be super competitive right now because there's not enough trucks or trailers out there, and the smaller guys can't really come in and take that from the larger companies. The brokers, kind of the same thing. Why? Because these larger trucking companies are sitting on more trailers than most. Gives them a big advantage right now as warehouses are full, as Christmas product is coming in. As you demand supply, as you demand drop and hook freight, you demand that 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 1 trailer ratio. Listen, if you're a 2 or 3 or 4 truck, 10 truck, 50 truck operation, if you don't have those trailers today, you're not going to get them. And if you get them, you're gonna pay 100% more than you would have paid back in 2018, 2019, 2020. It's a crazy, crazy market right now. What you have as a shipper, again, what you want to do is make sure you talk to your carriers, talk to your large carriers, work on that relationship. Carriers, the same thing. Work with your shippers, find that sweet spot. You're in a great position right now to continue to have a phenomenal 2022 and probably a great 2023 as well. We'll come back. We have John Packett's on. We're going to talk a little. Freight. We're going to talk, a little bit relationship. What's it like to work with your spouse? All of that and so much more right here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop, and when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
All right, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're joined today with one of the Packets, not Rebecca, but it's John. John, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning, Rick. So glad to be here. It's so strange to look at this side of the camera for a change.
You know what? I was telling that to producer earlier today. We have John. He's normally on your side doing all the filming, probably doing all the critiquing too. You're like, come on now, Rebecca, get your head into the game, doing all this. John, what's the difference and what's it like being on this side?
So a little nerve-wracking, of course, just because I'm usually helping Raquel get over the butterflies of getting on camera. But it's a lot of fun. I can see why she enjoys it so much.
Yeah, right. Was I calling her Rebecca? I just heard that when you said Raquel.
I didn't catch it, but maybe.
I think I was. I'm glad. Hey, great save there for me too. I appreciate that. Hey, so yeah, I was calling her Rebecca. I don't know what I was thinking. I had Rebecca Brewster on the mind with A-Tree. So hey, Rebecca, sorry about that. You messed up my thing here. Hey, but here we go. So John, you do a little bit of Zen Freight. You're part of the trucker tool. You come from a background outside of transportation. Talk to us about what you did and how you made that transition into this industry.
Sure. So I worked as a paramedic for 15 years. A big difference in what I was doing, of course, on a day-to-day basis between being out on the trucks and in people's houses and dealing with some pretty stressful situations to come to the trucking industry and find out that the industry is a lot alike. The camaraderie is very similar. The the fact that no 2 days are ever the same is another thing that's very similar. So I found a lot of similarities in the two industries, although it was a big change, a big identity crisis for me to come out from helping people every day and to try to figure out how to change my role in the trucking industry to look more like I'm helping people every day.
Gotcha. So aside from that, I also saw right here, y'all part of a CBD, or you have your own CBD as well. Is that right?
We did. That was kind of our springboard into entrepreneurship for Raquel and I, and we actually had a great product. We had a great marketing plan for it, and things didn't work out with a business partner, but with the things that we learned, we couldn't have. We don't regret it one bit.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about, let's just talk about the let's stay away from Zen for a second here. There's just not, there's no book you can really go out there and find, especially on transportation, and say, hey, follow this tutorial right here and you'll have a successful podcast. Man, what have you learned on that podcasting side?
Yeah, so I think the biggest eye-opener for me was when we started to talk about it, I thought that the difficult part was going to be conducting the interviews and knowing the right questions to ask. But for one, once I found out how good Raquel was at that naturally, and then that wasn't going to be a struggle, I really realized that it really comes in the putting it all together, scheduling everything, getting the guests, and then really getting it out in front of people is probably the biggest hurdle, which I didn't anticipate at all when we first started talking about it. So it's one of those things where I'm really excited to learn as much as I can and to watch and to see how other people are doing it. I mean, we've been following BCB Live for a while now, so we take a lot of advice from you guys, especially too.
So question, because there's a tough balance in there I found between even like BCB Live and the transportation, our trucking company, our brokerage, our warehousing company, is that, you know, how are you balancing what you're doing on your podcasts versus your, you know, Zen? Because if I had to guess, and I think I said that to Raquel last week, is like us, you know, one of them creates money that allows you to live. The other one, at this point, probably doesn't create a lot of money, if any at all.
Right, and that has been a bit of a struggle to really focus in on something without an immediate ROI, and it took us a lot of years to learn that marketing might not give you a return right away, but it might be 9 months, years, but it always comes full circle. And now that we've been able to witness that, we can really put our focus into the podcast without worrying about the expense and the time.
Gotcha. Trucker Talk Live. You know, go ahead and just tell us again real quick. Hey, what is that podcast? What's that focus really on?
Sure. So Trucker Talks Live is going to be, it's our way of giving truck drivers a way to get their wisdom, get their stories, even their safety tips out to the world. I think a lot of truck drivers don't even realize how much of an impact that they really have on the community at large and the way we like to live now, getting packages to our doors. And I think to give them a chance to get their stories out there and have other truckers hear that camaraderie is still alive. And we saw it at the Walcott Truckers Jamboree. But if you were a driver and you didn't make it to that, I think it's good to know that all the drivers are on the same team and really out there to help each other.
Yeah, you know what? I know you've seen it on the other side. I mean, the drivers, I mean, in general, boy, just hearts of gold. Just phenomenal people that want to, you know, at the truck show, they want to share that truck. They want to share their story. They want to show you the amount of work they put into that. But in general, when you talk to the drivers on your podcast, I mean, do you see that it's just the exact same kind of people across this country, people that truly do love what we do?
Yeah, in fact, we have not talked to one truck driver that didn't absolutely love their profession. And it's funny, coming from public service, if you asked anybody in public service what they thought about their job, it would not be the same answer. Most people have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and it's just not the same for trucking. I don't think most of the people we talk to are in it for the money. a lot of them are in it for the lifestyle and because they want to make a difference every day, and that's a surefire way to do that.
Hey, John, so we were speaking before the show, and one thing that I want to talk about right now is, all right, so you live with your wife, you work with your wife, and now you have another job with your wife. Talk to me about that balance. I mean, at some point, aren't you like, hey, baby, you got to go somewhere else. You got to leave here, or is she like that with you?
Well, no, we haven't really gotten to that point. Not that it hasn't come without its struggles, and I'll quote one of my mentors, Jim Rome, here. It's not easy, but it's definitely something you can do. And we use three main principles. Both of us agree on these, and I think that's the only way it works. Respect, communication, and just to lean on each other's strengths. And when we follow those things every day, we really can. It's a pretty crazy combination because we always have access to each other. We can get a lot of things done if everybody's on the same page. So, especially the piece on leaning on each other's strengths. It took us a little bit of time to learn that there are certain things that I wanted to get better at, and I was trying to use her as an example, somebody to compare myself to. Until we learned the lesson that there's a lot of things that I'm really good at. There's a lot of things that she's really good at, and if we can lean in those directions when it's necessary, we save a lot of time and a lot of frustration that way.
Yeah, that's just a good business tip. And a business tip for everybody is to make sure you surround yourself with folks that are better at an area than you are. It sounds like you guys have just naturally found that balance between what she's good at, focusing on that, what you're good at, focusing on that. And as long as you're not the best in the exact same area, I just think you tend to bring a lot of value, not only to your podcast, to the brokerage, but to each other.
Yeah, that's 100% for sure. And another thing that really is important is communicating even when it's difficult, even when we aren't on the same page, and it would be easier just to kind of sit and ruminate with that idea in your head. We've found that even just pushing through that discomfort and having that conversation is it's worth its weight in gold when it comes to working together.
Yeah, and when you think about that, for those that don't work with their spouse, you can, you always have the way you can send an email out, right? And maybe tomorrow it gets answered. You don't have that luxury. You can't just email her because she'll turn around and say, "What do you mean, John?"
Right, absolutely.
No, that's good stuff, man. That is exciting. Love to see that part. Love to see folks like yourselves working together. But when you travel, when you're going to do these podcasts, are you going and staying in hotels? Are you traveling in an RV? Talk to me about that part.
Sure. So we bought a motorhome a few years ago. It's a 2014 Forest River, and we absolutely love it. We use it only for business. Every once in a while, we'll take it on a family trip. But we travel the country. We try to find interviews at truck stops, at truck shows, anywhere we really can. And we divide our time up between visiting customers and working on the podcast. So it has really been one of those things where having that reach of the entire United States has been priceless for us.
Man, except until it comes to filling up that tank, right?
Right. That has been absolutely insane. But hopefully, eventually we start to see a little bit of relief in that.
Yes, sir, without a doubt. Hey, John, I want to thank you for being on BCB Live. Hey, before we get out of here, though, I want you to let folks know where they can find both of your companies, the brokerage, the podcast, and then I want you to end it like this. And hey, announce your name, who you work for, and just state that you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
That sounds great. If anybody wants to follow me, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. Also, you can find our brokerage at www.stressfreeshipping.us and our podcast at www.truckertalkslive.com. And I'm John with Zen Freight Solutions, and you've been listening to the safest station in the nation, BCB Live.
All right. Hey, John, I appreciate that. Hey, last question for you. Is your shoulder, is it sore from carrying that camera throughout that the Walcott truck stop?
Absolutely, yes. Muscles I didn't realize I had were sore after that weekend.
You know, we had our guy out there as well, and you know, he carries it all the time, and I'm like, and I grabbed it one day to do that. I was like, oh my God, that sucker, those
Right.
cameras get heavy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no take one, take two, take three. That probably gets you a little angry, and that gives you something to talk to Raquel about after the show when she has to do more than one take. Hey, John, thank you for being on BCB Live. Take care. Have a great
Thank you,
day and
Rick.
make it a safe one, buddy.
All right, you too, Rick. Thanks for having me.
All right, sir. All right, there you have it. We had the other half of the Packets family telling us a little bit from his eyes that, you know, working with your spouse. Just a great, a great interview, and I think it's something that you've got to think about. If, in fact, you're thinking about starting that business, and owner-operators, drivers, you know what I'm talking about. When you're driving with your wife, when you're driving with your husband, you know, heck, when any team is in that truck, it is tough to work together. It's tough to communicate. You assume that it's easy, but it's even though you're right next to each other, communication takes a lot of work. We have Buckle Up Bob. He's coming up next right here with a little bit of weather. We're going to talk safety, you know, and who knows what else. We won't talk about Yankees and we won't talk about Cardinals. Not today. We can talk about them tomorrow on BCB Live, safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high quality, ANSI certified, high visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight and Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight and Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Buckle Up Bob, and once again to get your week started off. And we're going to start with some weather, as we usually do. Again, same areas. Not quite the Kentucky Valley, Ohio Valley this time, but again, Chicago, you're getting hit hard right now, all the way up into Michigan, into Canada, but you can see it stretches all the way, some spotty showers through the Kansas City area. And the forecast for today is, as we'll see, about 2 p.m. You can see Chicago still expected to get some storms. Start to fire up in Arkansas a little bit as well. And then as we go to the evening hours, right, the whole southern Gulf Coast, look at Texas. Maybe we'll get some rain, some much needed rain in Texas. Albuquerque in the New Mexico northern half and into Colorado has some chances for some showers, as well as Florida and the East Coast. And then as we go into our Tuesday morning, it kind of back in that Ohio Valley, you can see St. Louis down through Missouri, right along, it looks like that I-44 corridor, could see some showers all day tomorrow. Our wind gusts, not much to speak of. Today you can see, look at that, 4 p.m. when they usually kick up. It's just really just up here where those storms are, up in Michigan. But all in all, a very mild day when it comes to the wind, so we shouldn't have any issues there. And then tomorrow, much of the same. Not much going on. Still hot, as you can see. Today, I don't know, do we get in the hundreds today? Yep. Still kind of expecting 100 in Dallas, Phoenix, right along that southern coast. Oklahoma 95, but you can still see a lot of red. It is breaking up, so maybe some cooler temperatures are on the way. So again, keep hydrated, keep checking those tires out there, driver. Hey, we'll take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected.
News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob, as we get ready for Brake Safety Week. It's probably a good time to talk a little bit of safety on brakes.
Yeah, and we're going to have some interviews with some mechanics and some drivers. We'd love to hear from you out there. What are some things we do not expect you to get under the truck and measure your brakes, right? If you can, great. You know what you're doing. Nothing wrong with that. But there are ways to be able to tell that your brakes need to take it to a garage. So we're going to kind of go over that this week to get you prepared. In 2 weeks from yesterday, Brake Safety Week starts. It's August 21st, right, through the 27th. And so what is Brake Safety Week? Well, it's something they do every year about this time. And they've got to just focus on the brakes. Primarily level 4 on large trucks and buses, right, to identify brake system violations. Number 1 is brakes out of adjustment. I mean, that is what you see the most of. The slack adjusters, automatic slack adjusters don't work. They're wore out, whatever the case may be. So again, you want to really be focused on that. And we're going to give you ways as we get into the week of what to do that you can check and get that feel without having to get down there and measuring. Measuring is the best way, of course. But since the program started in 1998, almost 3.5 million brakes have been tested over the years. So again, they're going to really be focused on the brakes. We know from a vehicle maintenance and the CSA score, tires and brakes carry the biggest violation points per inspection. So these are critical. Not to mention, if you really care and you're focused on safety as a company, as a driver, for me anyway, after talking to drivers over the years, the two things you have to be diligent about is your brakes and your tires. You have to make sure they're the things that are going to cause or prevent that catastrophic accident.
Yeah, and when you get pulled over, when CSA's looking at your brakes, listen, they're also going to look at your tires, right? They're not going to look at the brakes and not look at your tires. So take a look at that. There's programs around there. Lowe's, for example, they have that tire check program where look at your equipment, take it somewhere and get it done. It's a great time as well as if you just got your equipment inspected, you're in pretty good shape. If it's been 7-8 months, Bob, it's not a bad time to go ahead and get it done a little bit early, right?
Absolutely right. Look at those inspections in your equipment and trailer and truck. And if it's been 7, 8, 9 months, there's a good chance the slack adjusters could be out a little bit. And you need to have them just adjusted is usually all it takes.
Yeah, a lot of companies, I'm gonna just brag on a lot of companies we see, especially with a good maintenance score on their CSA score. Most of those, Bob, they run brand new equipment or they're getting it checked more than once a year.
Yes, absolutely right. I know our company trucks get checked 3 times a year. The trailers, again, that's usually where they're going to find a lot of these violations happen on the trailers because they don't get in there every 3 months.
What's your recommendation on the trailers? Is it still once a year, twice a year, or what?
Yeah, I think twice a year is a great way to do it on the equipment because typically they will last you 6 months. There's always exceptions, but if you want to improve your score, if you really want to improve that safety score out there, you have to do it more than once a year. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it has to be. Equipment breaks down.
Yep.
You know,
a lot of the bigger trailer rental companies, they do them twice a year. Even the large trucking rental fleets, they try to get them twice a year. It's never a bad thing to get it done more than the minimum required. It shows you're not just doing the bare minimum. And also it allows you to get something fixed before it gets costly out there on the road. You know, the difference in getting something fixed at your home, your home shop versus over the road, hey, listen, we know it's significant, right?
It absolutely
And when you
is.
get shut down by DOT, not only does that affect you and your score personally, you know, your PSP personally, but it does cost you money as well. Again, pay attention, look at that. Don't just do the bare minimum. If you can, get that equipment checked out at least a couple times a year. Hey, I know we got videos today ready
Yes,
to go.
we do.
Video number 1, roll it up.
First video we got today is called Increasing Distance, Almost There.
All right, well, here we go. We're about a second away right there. We got to the red mark. That red mark's when the coaching happens, and boy, we still just kind of stay there. We get back up at the very end, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is one of those where I really believe the driver is not embrace the technology. You're looking and seeing that you've got enough space, and that's what this technology is telling you. Just had a great coaching session with a driver this morning who didn't realize, because he even said, he goes, well, I got plenty of spacing. I said, you see that 0.8? And then we went over the numbers, and he just had this weird look on his face. He goes, I had no idea. And I said, we understand it. These are not saying you're bad drivers. It's saying your vehicle's in an unsafe situation, folks, and you've got to correct that.
Yep, that's all it's saying. Vehicles in unsafe. And the beauty is when your vehicle's in an unsafe situation, you do have that ability to back out of it.
That's it.
And that's what we want you to do. Take the action required to allow yourself, your truck, others on the road to not get into that accident, because things happen on the road. Next video.
Next video we got is called Last Minute Turn.
Can't see the lights, but I'm sure they're probably red.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're looking at on this video here, but it does
There's
appear
some
like,
lights.
I would just say first, it's just like we sure are approaching this stop tractor trailer a little fast.
That's
You
it.
know, right there. And
See right there, the lights, they're yellow.
gotcha. It's the lights, you know, so the lights turns yellow. We, in this truck right here that we're seeing, just continues to go through it. That's not what we want.
No.
That's not the purpose of that yellow light. You know, you saw it, you should have stopped, waited for the next time. Probably the reason why there's a lot of rushing going on right here, right?
Yeah.
We're going fast to try to get this vehicle in front of us so I can make the light. And we can see not a lot of braking going on right here. We start slowing down, but it's just a little too late, and we don't ever want to run these lights. It's an intersection. We've seen horrible accidents. We've seen horrible things happen in these intersections.
Yeah, somebody always runs them. I mean, and too often.
This video is called Listen to Your Coach.
All right, so we see it right here. We're driving down. We continue to keep the same speed the whole time. Remember, this red line in the middle, this means it's been going on for 15 seconds. And when you see what that number right there, kind of barely see it, but it's 0.6, 0.5, that's telling us that we're a half a second from that vehicle in front of us. Not enough time to stop. And even after that coaching happens and after that red line right there that you see, well, now this system that we're looking at, it begins to nudge, coach, help, assist, talk to the driver, say, hey, you know what, I think you're in an unsafe situation. And just like, just like kids or perhaps our spouse, you know, we start to tune things out. And buckle up, Bob, right here, we're tuning out the voice of safety, and that's not what we want to do.
No, and again, you're only out here is a lane change. That's never what you want as a driver, a defensive driver. Your first out needs to be able to stop in your lane. Well, that's gone a half a second, and then you can't time when something goes wrong. What happens if that car does something and you have to swerve, and for whatever reason you go left? You hit this car coming up on you, right? Because you don't know when this stuff's going to happen. So, again, you've got to back off.
You have orange barrels, you have orange signs, you have traffic, you have a vehicle that we're really close to, and it's pretty close to another vehicle in front of it, and that white vehicle, and you have a merge point. All of this going on, and yet we've taken away that biggest out that we need, and that's that out right in front of us. Folks, you've got to listen to this, the technology. You have to watch yourself, and if you don't have the technology, you can still give the old count. Find that spot and begin to count. 1,000. That's a half a second, folks. You can't get to 1,001. You've got to get to 3 seconds on this right here. You are significantly too close and definitely taking a chance on ruining life or getting into an accident. Something you just don't want to do. It's not worth it. If you backed out of this, once again, I'll tell you, I know you're driving under the speed limit. It doesn't give you the right to follow this close. If you back out, listen to me, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. You've lost 3 seconds worth of time because you're going the same speed. Go back on cruise at 61, 62. Keep driving 62 like you're driving right now. But give it 3 more seconds, and you're in a completely different situation.
And not lost anything.
Yes.
You really haven't. And again, you are 50 to 60 feet behind this vehicle.
Next we got, may look like enough distance, but it's definitely not.
Yeah, here's more of that perception, right? Every driver will say, this is 3 or 4 truck lengths. It's about 100 feet. That's not 3 or 4 truck lengths.
Yeah, so here we go. Same thing right here. We're driving under the speed limit. I think because you're doing that, you feel like you can be a little closer. You still have to have that distance. So, and again, you've been doing this for 15 seconds. And right when it hits this red mark right now, it starts nudging you, coaching you, telling you what to do. At that point, that's when you really, if at any time in this video, after you're reminded that you're too close, that's when you have to back out of it.
Yes. And you can't predict, again, it just scares me because how many of these we see over these overpasses where there is no out left or right either? Because you just can't predict it. And that's scary because you're going straight down and odds are you're not going to live.
Next we got good old stop sign video. Day or night, it means the same. You gotta stop.
All right, we're coming up to it. See it here again. So here we go. We have a stop sign. We're going to stop. Let's watch it.
Yeah, we never quite fully, but
we come close.
We come awful close.
The concrete's still moving. That tells me you never stop. It came really, really close. You're right there at 6 miles an hour. You're really close. Just go ahead and give it the old punch it just a little bit more and actually stop.
Yeah, sure.
Stop. That's the big.
You slowed this much.
I know. Just stop. I know you're saying. You probably pulled out and you're like, man, well, I wonder if I stopped there. No, you didn't. Just stop. Let the concrete stop. Get yourself a good view of all the traffic going every direction. It's required by law to do these things. Just getting that good habit.
We got one last video for the day, and it's called Too Close, Gotta Back Off.
All right, here we go. We continue to have another video here, driving under the speed limit. Just a little bit too close, a lot bit too close, I'll say it. And again, you're driving 64. You're not, you're 63 to 64 is what you're driving. If you back out of it 3 more seconds and you continue to drive 63, 64, you are going to only lose 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. You just have got to trust and follow these things that we're saying. It does make sense. Now, if you fall back 3 seconds and you decide to go 69 or 70 at that moment, well, now you're going to catch yourself in the same situation.
Right.
You're only driving 63, 64 right now. Once again, if you were to back out of that for 3 seconds, and continue to drive the exact same speed you're driving right now, you're not going to gain on the vehicle in front of you, and you're going to have this safe distance that allows you to be able to stop in case something happens. And right now, you don't know what's in front of that yellow billboard in front of you.
You do not. And we see a lot of these videos where our speed is really good. And so, it just tells me that a lot of drivers have bad habits, or they're misled. They're still using their visual to tell them they're safe instead of, hey, listen to the machine, because what looks safe isn't. Because your speed is great. So we know you're out there trying to be safe, but as Sir Rick says, embrace the technology. It's telling you that, you know what, you're not quite in that safe zone yet.
Good videos again today. And again, some of the videos we continue to see are just the ones that are just following too close. We want to continue to make sure that we catch those, we get better at those. Now understand too that you know, they're going to show up, right? I mean, you guys travel a long ways every single day. Most of you are driving 10, 11 hours a day out there. You're going to come across these situations. What we want to see is we would love to see you improve on this, right? Is to catch these things happening, reduce the number that's happening to you. Now, we don't know what's going on out there every day in your truck, but you do. You know when you can back out of those. You've got to first have that ability, and that's why we watch film, so you can see what we're talking about. You can see what it is. And when you get, you know, when you have that certain technology in your truck, and there's so much technology out there, and if it's talking to you and letting you know that, hey, you've been going 10 seconds, 15 seconds, following too close, it tells you at that moment, start trying to play a different game. And that game is, how can I go all day without that ever having to coach me, nudge me, tell me anything? And if you're doing that, two things, either your unit's broke or you're running safe out there on the roadway.
Yeah, and that's a challenge, but it's one that you can make with yourself and win. You really can. So
if you want to improve, the goal here is to get better at safety. That's what we want to do. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this wonderful day that you've given us. We ask that you continue to give us that ability to listen to you, listen to our hearts, to listen to that technology, or, you know, that ability to count when we and see when we need to improve. Man, we want to just continue to focus on the safety, because that just allows us to possibly get back home safe, and to allow somebody else to get home safe as well. Watch over us, guide us, give us that wisdom that we need so bad. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Talk to you tomorrow.